Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with what should be... Oh dear, did I get the numbers wrong? I believe we are on the 14th episode of Book of Hours, but the numbers don't quite seem to add up. Sorry, let me just take a quick second here. So 2 for the launch stream. 3 was the first one that we did on its own, so then we've got 4, 5, and 6 was investigative reporting, 7 was tongue-tied, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, we're on the 14th one. My apologies. It's normally I'm able to keep track of it because the streams have a certain they have a certain number on each day of the week that they're going to be on. That's one of the ways that I try and keep track of everything. But because I disrupted the release schedule last broadcast, I get these things wrong. Anyways, doesn't matter. If the episode number says something different and it's not obviously a mistake, trust the episode number. But I think we're on part 14. So we talked about how the expectation for tomorrow, basically once the timer is finished. The expectation is that we are going to get the last invitations written, and we are going to send. We're going to brew the tea, and basically we're going to get everything in place so that we don't do anything but the Salon on the following day. But it doesn't mean that I want the day to be completely idle. It means that I want to make sure that I get a certain subset of activities finished. And once those are done, I want to move on to trying to advance my interests. So for instance, the high traditions of the noble endeavor. So one of the first questions might be, do I want to hire Denzel? Well, hire, I get him for free. But so the argument for is that he can generate memories, and I don't actually need to write the invitations until the end of the day. We're not going to use them until the start of tomorrow anyway. So it might be nice to see if there is a room I want him to open. Something 4G would kind of be nice, but so sadly, we don't have much in the way of Denzel rooms. We can try the dim hall, but the dim hall kind of requires a concentrated effort I really don't want to put into Denzel. Now, with that in mind, there may still be some logic in hiring him. The other option that I have, so the Sweet Bones, if I just go and hire someone. Orchard Keeper gives me nectar and heart. So I do actually have quite a bit of heart that I can work with. So 9. I don't actually need to click on these. Oh, this would be a good one. So the wrecked pantry would get me access to quite a bit of cooking ingredients. And then if I wanted, I mean, I'm not gonna change it now, but the nectar would give me access to another area to host a salon. So, okay, I'm going to sketch it out. Actually, you know what? Let's see what the day brings in terms of weather. All right, that messes with my plans. So, fog, coastal fog, moon marred, sea dulling. So I was really getting set up to take on the wrecked pantry. Now, the thing that's nice about this is that between the fog and my shaft, I can actually hire Denzel and get him to open up the shadowed atrium. So let me just double check here. We've also got something for moon. Now, I guess the miner is the one that gives me moon. We could with the abandoned bedroom, but I'm not so convinced. So there's a couple of reasons for to possibly open this one. It does give me access to more books. It does get me a little, but this altar is also quite helpful, especially because I get more than one memory, and given that I only have a few elements of the soul, that's probably the better option. If I really want to swing for the fences, I can also try the wounded room, but the trick here is I don't think the wounded room gives me that much to work with. So yes, I think I know what I want to do. So I do have a bit of a stretch goal in terms of getting the high traditions of the noble endeavor. So I'm going to need edge to read that. That means the metal's spoken for. I'm also going to want to keep a shaft. Well, you know what? Okay, so I may wind up choosing to do something different with my elements of the soul. I'm going to start with fixing and mending here. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. I'm going to use the shaft to hire Denzel. I'm always welcome at Denzel's smithy. Denzel rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. The tryst hasn't been claimed yet. Like I said, we only need to worry about the invitations at the end of the day. I actually will use one of them to make tea, though. Actually, it's more appropriate if we make it in here. Brew over the fire, bring water to the boil, permit the potential here to express itself. And I will also drop some water. Drop water, lower the bucket creaking into the dark. So yeah, the funny thing about this is that I'm technically doing everything but preparing for the Salon this way. Oh, I guess I'm making the tea, so that's one step I'm taking. But that's just because I know that I'm going to be taking a couple of other steps that may help me prepare these invitations. So Denzel rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. If you find occult coinage, you can give it to him for the service of division. Actually, I wonder. Yeah, so when it says occult coinage, presumably that's at the smithy. Speak to Denzel. Talk about the weather. More useful than one might expect, especially in Britain. Steam and scent both rise. It's ready. Now, the funny thing is I didn't actually need to use the second flush of Sam. I also have the Don Lion coffee, but let's serve it. I do slightly prefer... Like, these are the things that only give me one, so it's more likely that I'm going to give it to... sorry, it's more likely I'll use it in a Salon rather than with a... to enhance a visitor, and that's just because it's I guess I put them all to the left. It doesn't give me quite the same intensity of the aspect, so pour it out. All right, so I'll probably want to order another one of those before too long. There we go. I could fill out the form right now, I suppose. Let's take advantage of the weather while it lasts. So I don't have a shaft to work with right now, so we'll just keep talking with Denzel to get the potentially the relevant memories. Although I suppose if I want to be reading the high traditions of the noble endeavor, I should be working on that sooner rather than later. So let's get that out of the way right now. So we've got the Vagabond's desk. We have to add the metal here. We'll add the Edicts Martial. And then we add the saw for consultation. What am I missing here? 6. Okay, so I do need a memory. Alright, this is where I start to get a little worried, but I'm going to eat another tryst so that I can get the contradiction. going to want to be a bit more thoughtful about how I use my elements of the soul, though. Alright, as I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. So we're going to take another minute to restore the shot. It is autumn when the leaves rustle. The silent landlady has served me apple pie with steamed cream in the window nook. So the real aim here is to make sure that we have... Oh, you know what? I could have done another regret move here, but that's fine. Okay, the storm doesn't help us with our invitations, but we'll keep talking. Speak to Denzel. He might even reply. Now, if I want, I don't have to stick with the core here. I can actually I can restore the shaft with the water as well. A little water splashes on the stones of the well to nourish the mosses there. I suppose I should have made that decision earlier. Let's, I think I am actually going to restore the shaft. No, I'll restore the core. A quick nap in a warm bed with something comforting to drink while the winds chase the clouds and the clouds chase the sun. So as far as Denzel opening the room is concerned, that's going to be the very last thing we do during the day. I should also try and do some gardening because I believe we don't have any honey scar jasmine. But again, priorities. All right, so number one, we've got Arthur Moore's invitation. Yes, that's enough. Request Arthur Moore's presence, care of the Endeavour Club, Park Place, London. To make an invitation to Arthur Moore sufficiently enticing, you will need at least 3 lanterns from skills, memories, inks, or anything else. Okay. Honey, the Comprehensive Guide. Harvey Hattington, pilot, polymath, confectioner, writes with great enthusiasm about the marvelous work of the bee. Haddington insists that all the primary aspects, nectar, scale, heart, lantern, moth, grail, are possessed by bees and expressed in honey. Clearly, he points out, there are only 6 primary aspects, as a honeycomb has only 6 angles. Yugal ink is prepared with these techniques, but so is skinchuck mead, and only skinchuck mead requires honey. Just as any beverage or foodstuff can be improved with the addition of honey, so any garden is improved with the presence of bees, even those bloody lumberendi. All right, let's get reading. I didn't need to do that. I could have used the Ragged Crossroads. Shame on me. I can master this mystery. Enough edge to match mystery edge. But we did save an element of the soul with the invitation, so... now I just need to post it. Dear Lieutenant Moore. Alright, so now's not a bad time. We're at the halfway point of the day. Let's just make sure that we know what we need to do for the rest of the day. So Fraser Strathcoyne is going to be one that requires a scale invitation. So right now we have a tryst set aside for that. Actually, yeah, sorry, this is easier than I thought. So let me just actually put the pieces together. Yeah, so in a pinch, I can actually use the health instead of the scale. So, with that in mind, the tryst is set aside for the lantern memory. The health is set aside for the scale invitation. Anything that Denzel gets me in terms of memories will save me those efforts. And now what my restoration work is going to involve, so one, I need to talk with him about Shapt, but following that, any of the remaining elements, or yeah, actually, sorry, I do need to restore Shapt one more time because I want to level up Disciplines of the Hammer. So tuppence will buy me a hearty meal and a quiet place where I can rest and gather my thoughts. It is autumn when the leaves rustle. The silent landlady has served me apple pie with steamed cream in the window nook. So this Shapt's going to go to Denzel. After that, Denzel's going to be a memory generator. Speak to Denzel. He might even reply. He does a lot with silence, this man. Okay, so the hindsight gets me Fraser Strathcoyne's invitation. That means the health is now free. Collaborate Shapt. Education or beguilement. Boosts knock and forge. So memory hindsight. Pentiments and precursors. The writing case. Catwink. Request Strathcoyne's presence. I have enough here to craft a letter inviting Strathcoyne to Brankrug. So 4 of the 5 invitations. Now I just need to post it. Dear Mr. Strathcoyne. If I'm going to do some gardening, now would probably be the time to do it. Yeah, I'm going to do that actually. So let's go. So Honeyscar Jasmine, Fragrant Chalice, or vegetables. We got lots of vegetables, so I will pick at least one Honeyscar Jasmine. Honeyscar Jasmine, like a dart of sweet fire. My assistant and I fall easily into conversation. Lies. All right, let's keep talking to Denzel. He might even reply. So what I really want from Denzel right now would be Edge, Forge, or Lantern memories. And the Edge and Forge would be because I want to level up Disciplines of the Hammer. That tells me that I need one more Shapt, which I currently have here. I'll earn another one just because that will give me money. Here I have the core. Now I should probably use this core for... Okay, let me take a minute. Yes, I can use the core for gardening, so... I believe I already have Fragrant Chalice. That's Trumpeter's Lily. This is Fragrant Chalice. So I'm going to... I think because I'm going to be using these grapes to restore Tuppence and Terrence, I want to see, first of all... Yeah, so autumn is too late, I believe. Yep. Okay, we'll get another sack of vegetables then. Carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. So right now, this will be used to level up the... Oh no, hang on. I'm probably going to get a memory... Yeah, I'll actually probably wind up with a memory that will allow me to move up Disciplines of the Hammer, so I should be good. And here we go, Memory Foresight. That gets me my last invitation. So I want to actually get that incorporated pretty quickly, because if we get a Foresight from the book, that's going to be sadness. So I believe it is Douglas Moore that we're inviting. Request Douglas Moore's presence. I have enough here to craft a letter inviting Douglas Moore to Brankrug. Now I just need to post it. For the attention of D.I. Douglas Moore, Suppression Bureau, Hobbs End, London. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 invitations. just so I can double check, or just so I can sort of restate where all of these are. Because again, like I said, what I would ideally want for the Salon is to make sure that everything is ready to go and that I'll have all of my elements of the soul without any, without using any of them. So for Serena Blackwood, she wants Forge, so that would be the almonds and the Roscragen whiskey. For Fraser Strathcoyne, that would be Scale, so that will be the roast beef and the Schloss Jannings. For Mademoiselle Bichet, we have the game chips and Roscragen whiskey. For Lieutenant Arthur Moore, we've got the Golden Marrow and the Caterin Hero Second Flush Assam. And for D.I. Moore, we have the Orange Jumble and the Caterin Hero Second Flush Assam. So Lantern, Forge, Scale, Forge, Lantern. I'm also just going to double check here. So this is a first course, side dish, main course, side dish, pudding. We are good to go. Oh, which also means that the tryst is open. I will probably use this to talk to one of the chickens. Alternatively, I can... So I can try and go for a marrow. I think I'm actually going to try and get a pumpkin. This is a pumpkin. Marvelous. Pumpkin. Mash it, eat it, hide forbidden documents in it. Solace. He does a lot with silence, this man. So let's just take a quick minute here and see where we're at. First of all, I've got the book. The book is done, so let's read about the high traditions of the noble endeavor. A blandly positive work on the Endeavour Club, published by the Endeavour Club. The club was founded in 1862, but claims to draw from much older traditions. Club members are assigned names out of noble myth, Joffrey, Roland, and unexpectedly Breadbettle. They claim to be heirs of the Leashed Flame, which gave the island of Britain such appalling power in some histories. Their endeavor itself is a purifying fire which makes its fuel something more than human. This transformation, however, is no longer encouraged by the club, and perhaps the work is coy on this, no longer permitted. So here we have Disciplines of the Hammer. And we have a foresight, so we're going to take the time and catalog that, or shelve it accordingly. So impulses, intuition, hindsight, foresight. We have way too much foresight. Okay, so as I said earlier, the way that my Tree of Wisdoms is going to work is all of the branches are going to have a language in the first, sort of on the first rung. And then even on the second, sorry, on the, for one of them, I think Crack Track winds up on the second as well. So in this case here, Disciplines of the Hammer, there may be an argument for saying, well, I already have a high level edge, so I don't need to level up Disciplines of the Hammer right now. But all of these are eventually going to wind up with a higher level. So in this case, I'm going to do Disciplines of the Hammer. In other circumstances, something like Transformations and Liberations might make sense. In this case, you know, I don't wind up with any better moth than I already have. So one small argument is to say, it's like, okay, well, we take the thing that Disciplines of the Hammer would level up and we move that up because we need access to a certain aspect. I think actually something like Lockworks and Clockworks doesn't have the Forge. But yeah, basically to sort of say, all right, we're short on, this aspect here. Disciplines of the Hammer lets us level that up. Basically, that would be one small argument for leveling up something different, but it is a little bit easier for me to keep track of things to say, okay, if you're not at level 2, I level you up, and then if you're at level 2, then I'm going to start thinking about how I can use your lessons to level up the things that I really want. So in this case, we'll move Disciplines of the Hammer up to 2. although in practice that's not really going to get me access to anything that I didn't already have. So there's always more to learn. Right, and I need to decide, so right now I'm in the infirmary, so if I want I can just keep the storm memory. Kind of hard to argue, like it doesn't really give me anything on these, but I'm also not really going to use the memory tomorrow either. And then moon and winter, so neither of those are something I need. Yeah, I think we're going to say we're done with Denzel for today. I can't really see why I would need one memory over another. So in this case, we'll also open up the Shadowed Atrium. This has long been a holy place, but in the absence of prayers, other influences have crept in. I'll need to purify it step by step. The only other thing I can think of here would be if I use the forge to... no. I think we'll just make some money. Better now. So yeah, and as always, I'm interested in the question, what do I do with my remaining elements of the soul? There might be something, something I want to try, maybe feeding the chickens. In this case, I think we'll just do fixing and mending. There's not much work on offer in Brandkrug, but I can find 6 pence worth of odd jobs. This is kind of just investing in my ability to restore the elements of the soul in a future date. Honeyscar jasmine, like a dart of sweet fire. The skill is now level 2. Its power aspects have also increased. Disciplines of the hammer to purify and combine the selves and the essences. The hammer shapes gates and shatters doors within us and without. So we'll wait for the sun to go down, and we do have a little bit of time, so I will speed things up. Carrots, tomatoes, marrows, and blessed onions, all the unsung heroes of the stew pot. I will speed things up, but we aren't going to do the Salon tonight. What we will do is we will at least get some of the basics down in terms of sort of the initial steps so that we can go straight into the Salon tomorrow. Or rather, Monday. So, clean white sheets and the unmistakable military ping of a steel bed frame. Dream on a memory. Now that night has fallen, I can rest and perhaps dream on the day's doings. Dreaming on a memory will preserve it past dawn, allowing you to keep it until the following day. We did also unlock the atrium. In 1651, Musgrave endowed the atrium with a shrine to St. Januarius of the Gate. Musgrave was a pious man, but also a Puritan, so this grand shrine was a little unusual. St. Januarius is also an unusual choice, but he is the patron saint of boundaries, and the DeWolfs were often said to, in some sense, to be martyr lords charged with the keeping of boundaries. So there's a few different items in here. So we have the atrium chair, reserved for latecomers, non-believers, and the pensive, so lantern comfort. We have 2 candles, 2 Aglafotis-scented candles, a candle scented with Aglafotis, quite a strong one. So Aglafotis, I believe, is only available during Numa, but if you can turn that into a candle, you have heart, 2 knock, 2 lantern, 2 rose. And then it also has the candle and light aspects. They generally burn brighter, but we generally burn longer. Or we light, so we can see, or so we can celebrate. It also has 2 watchful candles, a little portable clarity, also a candle, but a lantern aspected. But the main reason why I wanted this room, we do have the shrine to St. Januarius. St. Januarius is the name which was wounded, the name of exceptions, the little god at the door. So this has rose, sky, heart, and knock aspect. So generally, whenever I've needed to make the name day riddle, I kind of wind up using this particular shrine. In addition to the standard soul skill and memory, which I believe every workstation has this. I'm trying to think of one that doesn't include all of these. We have our options for devotion and remembrance. And again, in my particular case, because I have a limited number of elements of the soul, and of course that is entirely on me. That's a choice that I've made. It's nice to be able to either double up elements of the soul, if it's something like Trist, where I want to have a very high level of moth, such as getting the name day riddle. It'll also take an omen, so in that case, the occult scrap can get doubled up. The only thing is I don't have the newspaper yet, so I can't reliably generate occult scraps except through invitations. Marks. So I don't actually use marks that often, but the sand signs. I think in my first playthrough I had a ton of sand signs running all over the place, but you can put those in place. Also candles and cooperative, but these aren't as special. Like, they're helpful, but they're not quite as essential. And then on top of that, we've got remembrance. So this will take fuel, memory, pigment, and light. But the thing that I really want to stress here is that when you take a look at this shrine, so as long as it has rose, sky, heart, or knock, which actually covers a pretty broad range of my skills. If we take a look, there's quite a bit that can go in there. As long as I'm reasonably careful in my placement, I can actually get 3 memories here. And of course, if you think of it, again, with careful placement, you can wind up with a fairly high, like you can, with just the basic things you can get out of books, in theory, you can wind up with up to 6. So in this case here, you want to use the omen with something like the occult scrap. So now you're already limiting yourself in terms of what choices you can make here. So let's say that we want to focus on moth in this particular case. So in this case, we could take 2 moth. So another option for moth here would be something like impulse. So that's another, actually impulse wouldn't work here because it's not in this spot, but I could put it in remembrance. So here we already have 4 moth. And so what else would I do for the memory here? I actually don't know if there's a heart moth, knock moth. Well, actually name day riddle would work on this one. So if I wasn't trying to generate a name day riddle, we could get 2, 4, 7. From there, I can put any moth skill that meets one of these other ones. So right now, I think that's just Edict's Liminal. I'm trying to think if I have any others. As it happens, it's just the Edict's Liminal. But even with that, that would actually bring us up to 9. So if I level this up, remembering that I'm going to have this to level 2, yeah, well, actually, this is the funny thing. If I did, so in this hypothetical, if I'm assuming that I have a name day riddle and I've leveled this up, what I can successfully build out of this is another name day riddle. So this is a very silly example, but as an illustration, right? If you're careful in terms of how you assign these, you can actually wind up with quite a high degree of an aspect which isn't even necessarily accepted by the shrine itself. And then the other ones that are like these are the instruments, right? So you've got the hallowed drum, similar idea, element of the soul, sound, and omen, memory. But as you can see here, there's a lot more flexibility at the shrine. So not one, it just happened to be available based on the fog, but not a bad choice overall. This also gives us access to the darkened church. So with 6 heart or 6 lantern, we can gain access to just a really cool looking room. Or we can go higher with the gloomy stair, and we can try and move further up. And of course, 6 forge should not be difficult for me. We already get 4 by hiring Denzil and using the metal with him. And then the natural step there would be to maybe bring in something like a foresight. So this is really just a whenever I choose to sort of movement. But like I said, we're going to take care of the Salon when on Monday's episode. So I believe the way that these work is if you wait until the afternoon or later, you get an additional event. Now that may not necessarily help me because I don't have that many elements of the soul. So that's really just another opportunity for me to mess up. But I think probably just more draws in general is better. It means that I can potentially get more things from the Salon. The other thing that I will do, I don't have a whole lot of options here, but I will take a minute to see if there's any elements of the soul that I would feel comfortable committing to the Tree of Wisdoms. Honestly, without more languages, I think that's doubtful, but I want to at least explore that possibility. And again, the same reason there. If I have the appropriate elements of the soul, I can put them into the Salon and I get more out of it. But really, this is an opportunity for me to show the Salon off as much as it is to gain the lessons out of it. So looking forward to it. But I will leave you all to your weekends. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back Monday to invite some occult figures for a conversation. Until then, take care.